I've made over 62,000 and counting. It's recurring, so it keeps going month after month as these clients stay on. If they're already getting tons of traffic, why would they not want to get 20% more sales out of that same traffic? Because everyone's always talking about getting more traffic, which is great. But why not optimize the traffic you already have coming through? A lot of these people, even while they're crushing it, there's still holes in the game or opportunities to elevate things even higher.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I have Tim Houston from Profitable Merchant, one of our certified conversion architects with Vidalytics, here today to talk about how he has been working with Vidalytics and getting clients onto our platform and servicing them better. That has resulted in him actually getting paid a Rev-Share of over $62,000 just from Vidalytics, on top of the better results that he's actually delivering for these clients and his ability to land more clients and have another tool in his tool belt that differentiates him from other consultants like him in the space. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Patrick. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So I'm just going to dive into things here. Tim, I'm super excited to have you on here because you've had a lot of success with the Vidalytics Agency Program, being a certified conversion architect. And tell us first, about your business. So you're a consultant, you're working with business owners. What exactly are you doing for them? Who are you working with? How are you finding them?
It's just really started with me talking to people in my own network. Got a lot of people doing 7, 8, 9 figures in the network. And as you're having these conversations, you come to realize a lot of these people, even while they're crushing it, there's still holes in the game or opportunities to, elevate things even higher. So really, I just look for those found money opportunities and we implement where we can.
Yeah, I cannot agree with that more. I was always shocked in the beginning when I started to see the inside of even 9-figure brands, these companies that, just so many people, including myself, would idolize, and they're absolutely crushing it. But when you get on the inside of their operation, they have a lot of holes. Like you were saying, they'll have things breaking or things that are under optimized. And on Vidalytics, one of the reasons why we wanted to create the agency partner program that we have is because so many sellers that have funnels at scale, buying lots of traffic, they're still underutilizing the platform. So there's a lot of room for them to actually get better results. And that's why we wanted to partner with agencies, service providers, consultants, people that are working with these clients, because it's really kind of beyond the scope of our ability as a tech company to go in there and really kind of build these things out for them to the full degree. And when it's married with other services and stuff like that, it's just so much more powerful. So that's really interesting that you're finding that as well. It seems to be just kind of the universal truth that every business, has problems and issues and kinks to work out. One thing that you said that's really interesting is that you're finding these folks from your warm network. You've been a marketer and a consultant for a long time. Are you going to events to find these folks, or are you doing this all on social media? How do you go about doing that?
I'd say it's generally through organic conversations, or sometimes I'll do a reach out if I notice somebody I know they're doing really well, but I see they're on a subpar video player. I'll reach out and say, hey, are you guys aware of Vidalytics? I'm sure you've heard of it. Have you tested it? And of course, the answer is no if they're not using it, because if they would have tested it, they'd already be on it, because it's outperformed everything that we've ever tested it against. So it's kind of a no-brainer once they test it.
So you're actually using Vidalytics and their video player as a conversation starter. So basically kind of using that as the initial point of contact to immediately kind of get your foot in the door and provide value.
It is. I've got a couple companies I use in that same way, but Vidalytics in terms of video is definitely a great conversation opener. If I don't see that, then of course, anything that gets the conversation started. But if they're not on Vidalytics, it's always worth a test, which of course leads to a good outcome for all of us.
Yeah. So as far as your business goes, you're coming in and you're advising businesses on basically scaling their operation, increasing their conversions. Could you kind of tell us more about what your business looks like?
Well, it kind of happened organically itself. Just kind of initially, it was just a couple of referrals went out to different people that I had resources that were beneficial to them. And then I came to realize wow, people really need this. So I should do this a little bit more intently. Even though they're doing great, maybe 7, 8 figures or more, they don't always know what they don't know. So there might be a hole in their boat. There might be something under optimized. If they're already getting tons of traffic, why would they not want to get 20% more sales out of that same traffic? Because everyone's always talking about getting more traffic, which is great. But why not optimize the traffic you already have coming through?
Yeah, absolutely. And the beautiful thing about doing that is that when you're able to increase somebody's conversion rate, their cost structure stays the same, aside from like variable cost if they're selling like a physical product. But as far as their traffic costs, which is likely for a lot of businesses their biggest expense, then that stays the same, but their sales go up. So basically all those sales go to the bottom line. So it's pure profit in some cases.
It is. And, a lot of times like these super affiliates or media buyers, they want a payout bump. And a lot of times merchants are like, we don't have the margin. Well, Vidalytics can often provide a 20% margin just, quite quickly. So that frees up a lot more capital to deploy into more traffic from the right people, which of course, just raises everything.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about that is that if you're able to go out and increase your traffic cost, your cost per acquisition, whatever it is in that equation, by 20%, you're not going to get just 20% more traffic. You might get 5 times or 10 times as much traffic because it's exponential, because there's just less people that are able to pay that much. So that's like a competitive advantage that allows these companies to scale even more.
Right. Opens a lot of doors, having that extra conversion.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I really want to touch on is that you're working with these businesses and, you've gotten us a number of different, clients over to Vidalytics. When you're working with a new client, you're helping them improve things. You're introducing Vidalytics. Maybe it was the first thing you said, but basically how does it go from there to, them basically being on the platform and you getting paid?
I generally just say, have you tested Vidalytics? And the answer is typically no. And then I say, why not? And you'll get some kind of answer. And I'll say, well, why not give that a shot? It generally gives you a 20% or even 30% conversion boost over a lot of these other players. Why not test it out? And they're like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. So at that point, I just go ahead and make a quick email introduction, kind of share some stats and any background on the business. And you guys kind of take it over from there.
Yeah. And one thing I want to point out here is that Tim is generally consulting with businesses that are, quite large. So these are easy kind of deals to hand off to Vidalytics. Our sales team kind of comes in, our account executives, account managers, and they'll run those leads basically through our process. And this is something that we take care of ourselves. Because we'll get into things like a split test audit. What we have found is that when somebody tests us and it's set up correctly, where there's clean data and it's really maximizing all the horsepower that Vidalytics has, that 6th gear that we talk about dropping businesses into, that is just not available to other companies that are not using Vidalytics, then they're going to be able to get results. So basically, when it's a fair fight, we win. And we get those results. So Tim is able to actually just kind of hand over leads, lob it over the fence in some cases, and then we run with it and take care of the rest. And then he's still, basically the agency partner on that account and getting paid out. And Tim, you've gotten us, I'm not sure how many clients you've been able to move over to Vidalytics, but what does it look like? I'm not sure if you have that number. What's it look like in terms of revenue for you, in addition to your consulting fees and everything else that you're doing, but basically payouts to you in the Rev-Share from Vidalytics?
Well, yeah, the Rev-Share from Vidalytics has been great in terms of dollars earned per hours invested, so to speak, or introductions made. So literally I've made over 62,000 and counting. It's recurring, so it keeps going month after month as these clients stay on. But that's just literally come from, the 3 handfuls of introductions, which has resulted in, maybe under 10 or close to 10 accounts, but they've stayed on. They continue to bill. They're getting the results, so they're not going anywhere. So, in terms of revenue per introduction, let's say it was 20 introductions. What is that? $3,000 per introduction. So yeah, and growing. So I'd say it's been great to be a part of.
Yeah, what's really interesting about that too is that when you became an agency partner of ours, you basically went through your Rolodex of current and past clients and then just basically worked off of those. So this is something that we've told other folks to do, where it's just like, hey, day one, don't worry about going out and getting a new client. Start with the ones that you already have. Start with the ones that you already worked with, because those are ones that are just low-hanging fruit. They already know you. You already know their tech stack of, if they're using Vidalytics or not, and you're able to basically hit the ground running that way.
Well, right. And plus, how are they going to view you once you bring them something that boosts their conversion 20% with, very little effort on their end?
Absolutely. And we've talked to copywriters about this, other people that kind of have like expensive, large deliverables that don't happen day one. So say a copywriter comes into a new business and they're like, great, I'm going to write this new funnel for you, but it's going to take 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And they're basically going to charge a bunch of money up front. They're going to disappear for that time. And it's easy for the client to kind of, get buyer's remorse or have second thoughts about that. These copywriters that are also in the program, they have basically showed up day one, and they're going to get the client moved over to Vidalytics. And that does two really important things. And number one, it's going to get a win. They're already kind of providing value and often paying for their entire copywriting project before they've written a single line of copy. Number two, it also gets things set up in Vidalytics so that we have the most robust video marketing analytics on the planet anywhere. So that starts the clock on collecting those analytics. So then the copywriter, and this would apply to CRO people, this would apply to media buyers, video editors, anybody that is touching the funnel, working with clients, this really still applies all the same. But then they start to get all that data. So then they can use it to inform basically the services and deliverables that they're providing for the client, so that they're not just like kind of like guessing and throwing darts in the dark, but rather they're able to use that and have it guide them. So then they're able to actually deliver a better service and result as an outcome from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those analytics, like you mentioned, like being able to look at where people drop off in the video is obviously very valuable to copywriters or anybody working on CRO. So big win.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we like ingest other data, like how far somebody is watching before they actually purchase, or where they're skipping and rewinding different segments. And we actually have some brand new features. I'm not even sure if you're aware of this, Tim. We have also integrated with some different affiliate networks such as ClickBank, and we're working on Digistore. So we're actually ingesting that data. So then people can actually see how the affiliates are integrating, basically the traffic to their offer. And they're also able to turn around with a single link, provide all of the data that an affiliate has driven to their videos to that affiliate. And they don't get to see any of the other data in the account. They don't get to see any of the other data for the video that another affiliate might have driven or anything like that. So they're not going to be able to swipe somebody else's campaign or anything like that. But if they're optimizing ads and they're spending big and they're trying to get something working, then they're able to actually kind of see how that is happening. So this is stuff that Vidalytics, we like to think of it as like the heart of the conversion process, because you have your ad, your landing pages, your videos, your checkout process, your sales team, your marketing automation, but everything in the center of that passes through the video. It's the heart of the conversion process. And because Vidalytics integrates with ad platforms, with CRMs, with sales teams, with marketing automations, with basically the entire customer journey, then you're able to, capture data. So then it's enriched, and then you understand how people are watching, videos, from your marketing and what's really working. But then you're also able to push that data out of Vidalytics at the same time. So then you're enriching stuff in other places. So Tim, $3,000 per introduction, roughly that. And I do want to be clear, mileage will vary. Tim is very good at what he does, and he has been able to really kind of, hit the ground running here. But also his clients are, of a certain size where it makes sense, with the math that basically it pays out to that. But I would say just an average user on Vidalytics, just one single introduction is going to be worth at least $500 per year. So, and some agencies out there are working with dozens or even hundreds of clients. So it can add up very, very fast. I am curious, we kind of talked about this as far as how you're opening conversations with Vidalytics, but do you feel like any of the stuff that you've been armed with video conversion audits, our state of VSL scaling playbook, or just being like a certified partner with Vidalytics and really kind of knowing the tool and having the inside track with us, do you feel like that allows you to kind of differentiate yourself or provide like more authority when you're talking to clients? If they're just like, hey, I have like a million consultants that are trying to help me grow my business and everybody's making promises. But have you seen anything like that?
Well, so I found the checklist was super powerful.
The video conversion audit, right?
The audit, right. Because that basically gives me all the, the best settings, at least as a starting point, right? We start there and then we can split test further beyond that. But that gives me a great starting point with working with clients. A lot of times, you see it from the inside. These are the settings that the people converting the best have in general. So that's always a good place to start. People can go do their own tests later, but start with what we know works, right? So that's been powerful for me, just having that knowledge internally and being able to convey that to clients.
Absolutely. And I mean, like those best practices are derived from $3 billion in sales, which is going up by, 9 figures every single month. So we've, studied and analyzed basically the Vidalytics user base of the, 178,000 videos that have driven that revenue number. And we've looked at, what the best performing ones do and what the worst performing ones do. And we have figured out, how long videos should be, what their engagement metrics should be, how it changes, for different devices, traffic sources, geographies, things like that. And then that is basically a playbook that we arm our agency partners with to basically go out and do it. This is something that a lot of people are always like, hey, can I share this on my podcast? Can I, send this out, basically to the public? And we say no, because this is like a proprietary, competitive advantage that we originally started doing for just like the large brands on Vidalytics, the ones that get really a concierge experience of having a account manager, VIP support, shared Slack channel, access to our developers, quarterly calls where we're going in and reviewing all this stuff. So these are things that organically, were developed inside of Vidalytics as a byproduct of us just needing to service clients that are at this scale, that are spending up to $1 million a day on ads. And really, these playbooks are now, for the first time ever, being shared outside of Vidalytics with people that are not, 9-figure brands, paying us top dollar to use Vidalytics, but rather these agency partners that are then able to basically go out and use this and have that authority, have it in their tool belt to go out and work with clients and deliver the same results. And when married with the services that they're already providing, it's a deadly combo that really is effective.
Absolutely. I love it. And
cool.
Since you provided it, it's been a big help.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks so much for coming on today, Tim. I really appreciate you sharing your experience. And otherwise, thanks to everybody else for checking out this video and watching today. And we'll see you on the inside. Thanks.
Thanks. Cheers.